All right, I started kind of working my way, getting some of the weight off this side here. Eventually, I want the tree to kind of roll over on this side. I'm taking some of the weight off, but pretty good size. It's just an old gum tree, but it's out in their field. And I'm helping them out and working out some of the kinks, or testing out some of the clone saws. That's the 660 clone. That's a F372W from Pharmac. Then I've been using the Holtz Pharma with the full wrap. The full wrap's nice for kind of cleaning off branches that come up and down and stuff like that. You can switch it around. But I just kind of nipping a little bit of this away. So you got to be really careful on a tree like this. That's probably about a 42-inch stump at the end. So all that weight is up there. It wants to come down. So I just wanted to work on it a little bit. Didn't film that part. Just kind of working that Holtz Pharma. I like that. I like the full wrap, but I only have a 24-inch bar on that. I have a 32 on that. So now I'm going to do some of my higher work using the 32-inch bar. But I am going to pull some of these branches out of my way so I'm not tripping over them. And if I have to get out of the way, well, I don't end up with a branch on me. So let me get that fired up after I move a few branches. And we'll start kind of working some of this top off. I'm not worried about getting the really high ones because I'll work on the lower ones, let that tree come down to where it's safer to work on. If I have to, I'll go get the tractor and I'll push it around a little bit if need be. All right, I put a 32-inch bar on this 372. Have a little bit more reach. I'm gonna try to notch that and just let this top half just kind of lay over here down. So let's do a start on this. I haven't run this one with a 32-inch bar yet. So I guess the compression release is there for a reason. I just filled it up. Come on now. I might have flipped. Runs that 32-inch bar pretty sweet, not a problem. That's the Husqvarna bar, X-Cut, full chisel bar. Now I'm going to loosen up this side a little bit. I like to get some of the weight off the tree before I try to make it roll or come down lower. A little easier to control. So we'll come over to this side here and start taking off a little bit, as I kind of want it to go more straight up and down when it falls. You know, it's got some high tension sections it's setting on right there, so I don't want all this up top of me over my head, and it looks like the tree's going to want to roll back this way. So if I get a majority of this weight off of here, you're better off. Biggest thing is you don't want to get in a big hurry. I am right next to the main road. The neighbors are right there. They've already stopped by. So let's start cleaning up this side a little bit. The goal would be to try to get that to lower down to me to cut it up instead of trying to reach up there to get it. Guys, back a little further, get a little better view of what's going on. Now, a little trickier. I want to get that top to kind of lay down, but there's all this trees and branches in there. It kind of got me trapped. So I'm going to relieve some of this weight here on this one that's curving down. I think the one underneath it didn't have much tension on it. If I get those two off of there, trim a little bit of that top of that one right there in case the tree comes down, so it'll come down on my back. And I'm going to see if I can get up there and just kind of notch that, get that down lower so it's easier to cut, a little safer to cut as well. Make myself a little road going in there, right through here. Bring it down to my level. Dissect it and bring it down to my level, where it's a little easier to cut up, less risky. You gotta watch it with his gum though. But being it's gum, it doesn't necessarily just break off, so that's kind of a good thing. Well, I can let it do that, and it just doesn't break off. Sometimes if the top comes down, all that force can push it back towards you. So you gotta be careful, be patient, listen to it, let it do its thing. Let me come back in from the other side. It's going to all want to come towards me, and I don't want that. So let's go to the other side, get some of the top off. All right, let's go in right here, get a few pieces out of my way, and dissect this top. It's going to want to kind of fall this way, but we'll loosen up some stuff so it doesn't. see how much I cut up with one tank of gas. That did all right. It did better than the whole farmer, I think. I don't know. This might be me. All right. I figured while I was taking a water break, I'd kind of, whoops, thought it was hot. It's not hot. Kind of scared me there for a second. I've actually gone to push it, not thinking, hit the damn muffler. That'll leave a nice little burn on your hand. But I figured I'd take a break real quick and kind of go over what I got set up here. These are both 372 XP clones, okay, we know that. That's a Holtz Forma. It came with the full wrap, no bar. I chose the bar. I bought a Holtz Forma 24-inch and bar and chain set up through Holtz Forma. And I really like it. It does really well. Now, my thoughts were, a lot of our trees down here, a 20-inch, 24-inch bar will cut most of them down. And when I'm in there close to the tree, cutting it up, I don't need a really long bar, but I like the fact that it had the full wrap. So that way when I'm bucking up the tree, you know, I've got ones going up, I've got ones going down the side. If I want to come back in and cut up like that and then back over, it was still light enough and nimble enough that I could comfortably run it for a long time. And for some reason, out of the two clones, even though they're both clones, it just for me, some reason feels that the Farmac's a little lighter, and I guess, you know, the full wrap, I'm guessing, right? So this is a little narrower profile, a little bit lighter, so I went ahead and put a 32-inch bar on it. But doing some of the high work or bucking up stuff on the ground, I kind of had the best of both worlds. This does have the Husqvarna. It is the 0.58 bar for guides, and this is the full chisel X-cut 0.58. It's a 3/8 chain, but it's 0.58 guides. I like the heavier guides on the longer bars. Even the 24-inch is a 0.58. So I'll give you water here. Oh, it feels so good. When you get working, nice cold glass of water. So that was kind of what I was thinking. This one just felt a little lighter, a little more nimble, so I'd go ahead and go with the 32. And that one I wanted a little more stocky, having the full wrap, you know, for bucking up close, like I said. So far I'm happy with both of them. I will say the X-cut chains, full chisel, are real rippers. I mean, they will cut. If you want to get something done, it'll do it. And I figured, well, too, as I'm reaching up like you see me doing on these, I want to, you know, I'm holding it up for a long time in the air. It'd be nice to have a chain that got the job done as fast as I could. So that's nice, and I can kind of ease into it. It's a brand new chain and bars. This is its trial run, so I'm impressed so far. So we'll get the top out of that tree pretty good. But probably the more scary part was going to be getting that trunk down the ground, trying to relieve those branches underneath it. So what I'll probably do is just slowly cut on them. I actually would like it to roll back towards us. If I finish getting the rest of that branch off right there, finish getting that up, get that off there, I can also take that thick part that's coming out this way off. And there's nothing really down here. There's a branch on that side over there coming on an angle you probably can't see it, and another one directly underneath it. So I want to get as much as I can broke loose, and I think what I'll do is I'll wound the pieces coming down just so they crack a little bit, but not enough to drop it. All right, let me get up in here. Alright, let's reset up on the other side. I just keep watching this thing to see if it gives me an indication as to what it might do. Slowly cut away at it, get some of this big wood off of it. I'll probably get that piece cut up some more, get it off of there. I think I can relieve this one right here, get that whole big section right there cut off. I think it's all going to hinge down to that one right there, is what I think. But we're going to ease into it without getting too carried away. Got all the time we need. All right, let's try to kind of clean this up a little bit here. Get some of that resolved there. And see what happens. I did leave part of a branch over there sticking down. It's not touching. It's kind of like a backup. It's a smaller branch. If that starts falling, it's like a catch. It won't come all the way to the ground. So, and then there's another one on the other side that will do the same. So this one will keep it from coming that way. That will keep it from coming that way, but it'll come down about 4 feet. And then I can get to it. Come back towards me. Get the heck out of the way. Now, that one right there caught me under a little tension, so we'll see what happens. I'm surprised it isn't coming over this way. I thought for sure that would be holding it coming over this way. I'm going to work on that little piece. It should roll towards us at some point. I did not want to happen on my new bar. Think I caught it just in time. Woo! That was a save. Save that one. That was nice. Nice. That's what I was hoping for. Now I can start cutting it up. It's still got a piece on there. I can get this big chunk off here. But it's down below eye level now, which is a good thing. Run out of gas. I pulled it out. Now I got wood chips in the chain between the bar, so I figured I'd take a big cut out of that to show you how well this has got plenty of power. Cut a big tree like that. Now I got to go fix this, and it's run out of gas. So I tried to pull it back real quick, and it wish these things would stay up. I tried to pull it back and got some wood chips in the tip of the saw, so I'll go clean it up. It's good to go. I'll finish cutting that log off so you can see how well it does. Alright, film timed out on me. It didn't get cutting that off, that end piece, but actually it was just kind of hanging there. So it was pretty easy to cut. So, this tree isn't really worth anything. So, they're just going to take a friend's big tractor and push it over in the ditch. So, I'm just going to cut it up into a few longer lengths and then let it be. cut it off and pulled back. I cut it off simply because I was out of balance, and because I pulled it back, I did the big no-no. I knew better than pull back on it like that. End up with bark in it. Second time, you think you'd learn. I shut it off because I was not standing in a good place. So, and then I pulled back and I shouldn't have. Let me try that again. I should have known to rub it up. Clear the fibers out of the bark. Before I pulled back on it. Now, I might have to do a little tuning with it. Everything is catching me here. There, I finished the cut. Now the other side has the branch going off on an angle, so I can't cut it beyond that because it'll just bind the saw up. So I'm going to go over there and relieve that pressure on that one on the angle, and then hopefully it'll lay down the ground, and then we can finish cutting it up. Kind of tight quarters. Got this other daggone tree that came down with it. I've been trying to avoid cutting it because it's going to kind of stay out of my way. I think I'm going to go back around the other side. Maybe we'll go up to the stump and go ahead and cut that. And I'm around poison ivy. I'm going to have this everywhere. I'll take a really good shower when I get home. Boy, that's a big boy. I don't think the stump's going to actually want to roll back towards me. So I got to watch it. Barely. I just saw a nail right by my cup. I would have hit it. Watch them signs. Is a big problem. Thought I got it in time. That's a lot of tree sitting on that saw, but I brought other saws. I kind of got fumbled up there. There's two nails and I was trying to get around the nails and then put myself in a bad spot. What's happened is that stump is leaning back on it. So I still want to cut the saw. I still want to cut the log again up there and I did bring my 660. So I brought that just in case I needed it. So let me go grab that 660, and that'll take good care of this tree. All right, now I put some wedges in there. I don't want to pinch that bar and mess that bar up. Brand new bar. I'd hate to only have one tree cut with a brand new bar, and that would suck. So I was just trying to show that you can cut a big tree up with that saw, but I did have the 660 with me, so we'll give it a crank. See if we can't make something happen. Choking. Set down, and we'll see if we can. What's happened is a branch at that end of the log that is pushing back towards it. I should have known better. But I'm not going to get too solid stuck in there, so we'll just have to take our time. It's starting to come loose. Right at the very tip. I'm actually going to switch it to back here. Let me make it so I can put that wedge in there. See, it took about 2 seconds to make a mistake. Look how much time I'm spending trying to fix my mistake and not get this saw caught up in there. flying. Yeah, I got me a heck of a mess here. Loose on one side but not the other, and I know that stump's trying to come back here. So at this point I got to go get my wedge. I think I'm going to go back around and try to relieve more of the log, because like I said, there's a branch going this way and that's keeping it. This is trying to push this way, that's trying to get pushed back this way, and I don't want to mess up my new bar, so I'm gonna trek my butt back around and get more of it cut up with that 660 and learn from my lesson. Learn from my lesson. All right, I got it out. I just need to stop for a second. It just took a little teeny bit more cutting with the 660. I put those logs under there so it wouldn't have to come down as far, and the chainsaw came right out. So yeah, that's a pretty darn good sized tree. I mean, having the 660, I could cut it with this one, and you saw me doing it. But get that up there. Get up there, saw. You saw me doing it, but that 660 just walks the dog on that saw. A tree like this, a 660 is just make quick work of it. So yeah, that's there's a thumbnail for you right there. Thumbnail. Yep, she's a big one. I'm tuckered. That's probably why I made that mistake towards the end. It's in the 80s, and it's been a long winter, and I'm not quite broke into the heat. And when you get hot, you tend to get a little frustrated, and you know, you don't do your best. But it actually didn't take much. I just took the 660 and made the undercut a little further, and it popped right out. So not any big deal. I got the main section cut up into like 3 sections so their friend can lift it with the tractor. So it's YouTube and you guys watching my channel that allows me to do this. This is for a neighbor, lady friend, and she lost her husband years ago, and stuff like this can be a little daunting for her, and then people will charge her a lot of money, and she's on a fixed income, and because of the channel and you guys following it, supporting me, it helps me to go out and help others. So I do appreciate it. I'm gonna take my tuckered self here, go get a shower because I've been playing in poison ivy, which I hope I don't pay for that. But we'll see you on the next one.